Hi everyone. I'm here to interview my uncle, Dr. Sumida over here, and I'm gonna ask him a couple questions. Um, so when and how did you know you wanted a career in health sciences?
Um, Actually, I didn't really know. I sort of fell into it. I happened to be good in math and science. So I first started off wanting to do something in math. So my undergraduate degree is in business.
Okay.
And then that's when I decided I didn't really enjoy it.
Mm.
So that's where I went back to school and then picked up all my science classes, got a master's degree, and then
Okay.
subsequent to that got a PhD, and then after that did the postdoc.
Oh,
So.
okay. Tell me about your certifications and why are they important for your job?
Um, Well, I have the PhD, which is what you need to teach at
Right.
a university level.
Right.
The certification I do happen to possess, and that was just for my own interest, was something that's offered by the American College of Sports Medicine.
Okay.
It's called an exercise specialist.
Okay.
And for that degree, you have to know how to read an electrocardiogram, how to prescribe exercise to both healthy as well as disease patients.
Okay.
I don't really use that certification. I just did it because I thought it was interesting, and there was really no pressure on me. I didn't need it for a job, but since I was doing the workshop, I thought might as well pay the couple of $100 extra and take the test, and I happened to pass.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's cool. Okay, can you tell me about your post-secondary education and how it prepared you for your current position?
Yeah, so it turns out that the more advanced degrees you get, you turn out to be a specialist in a very specific area. So the organ that I studied, that I happen to be a specialist in, is the liver, and how the liver makes a sugar called glucose.
Okay.
And it's called hepatic gluconeogenesis. So that's what I did the PhD in.
Okay.
And then for the postdoc, I wanted to study a different organ, and that's where I studied the heart. So my two favorite organs are the liver and the heart.
Okay.
And to no surprise, when I teach, I do tend to favor those two organs.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. How do you stay current with your knowledge?
I'm actively engaged in research. So I currently publish. I published in the past on the effects of exercise on the liver. My current research has, then I switched to look at alcohol abuse and its effects on the liver. And then I switched even further to look at bone mineral density and osteoporosis. So
Okay.
that's where I'm kind of switched because it was getting a little bit too hard to do that kind of research at Chapman, because the research that I was involved with required radioactive isotopes.
Gotcha.
And in order to do that, I had to be the radiation safety officer as well as the professor to engage in the research, and it was too much to work. So I decided to do stuff on the bone,
Gotcha.
where you don't have to use radioactive isotopes.
Okay. What aspects of your job do you dislike the most and enjoy the most?
Well, I currently serve as a department chair for the department, and the part I don't like are the politics involved in trying to get things done for the students. So there's always sort of red tape and politics, and I'm finding that the administrator's favorite answer is no, because that means they don't have to do anything, rather than try to be creative in terms of how to work around the rules so that we can help the students. The favorite part of the job are the faculty that I lead. They're really good people. Nobody thinks they're better than anybody else, and that's the nice part of the job. The other part of the job that I really appreciate is the students. I happen to teach only juniors and seniors, so they're very interested and they want to learn. These are students who want to become doctors, physical therapists, physician assistants, and so they're pretty motivated. So I don't have to motivate students. They want to learn physiology. They want to know how the body works.
Okay,
it's pretty easy to teach them.
Yeah, that's true. What do you do daily at work, and how would you describe the work environment?
Well, again, I'm a department chair, so I spend most of my time putting out fires. The other part of my time, I'm advising students, and then getting ready for my classes. I do oversee budgets, so I have to look over budgets, make sure that we're not spending too much, and if a faculty needs equipment, I'm making sure that we have enough money to purchase that equipment. So that usually keeps me pretty busy. So Not sure if it's my favorite part of the job, but it's
Oh.
part of the job.
Right.
So.
Gotcha. Okay. What do you consider to be your most valuable asset as a professor?
My most valuable asset as a professor. Well, I don't really know if I have a valuable asset. I don't even have a favorite color, so I'm not sure if I have a favorite valuable anything. I guess my most valuable asset as a professor would be, I think, again, I serve as a department chair. I think my colleagues.
Okay.
Yeah, my colleagues are great. They're always willing to pitch in and help. So I would say that's my most valuable asset. I have a very good administrative assistant as well.
Okay.
So she's very good, letting me know about various issues that come up. She's always sharing the budget with me so that I'm making sure that, we're not going over budget.
Okay.
So I guess those would be the valuable assets or the people I work with.
Okay. That's cool. How do you deal with work-related stress and pressure, as well as balancing work and family life?
Well, I guess, how do I balance stress and pressure? I think when I was first starting out and I was single, that was my career. That job was my career.
Right.
Now that I have a family, now I consider that job as a job.
Right.
My career is my family now.
Right. Right.
And that's my focus. So, but even then, well, let me back up. So, like I said, I serve as a department chair. I don't mean to keep on harping on that, but I have a department where I have 500 majors, over 500 majors. I'm pushing about 540 right now.
Okay.
And I have 7 full-time faculty, including myself.
Oh wow.
So that keeps me incredibly busy. I try to protect the faculty by taking on the majority of the advising. So I have a little shy of 300 students that I advise.
Wow.
So that puts a lot of stress on me, and sometimes I'm not able to always devote the time required for my family, even though I consider them the most important.
Gotcha.
So but again, the faculty have been great in terms of trying to help me out and stuff like that, but balancing has been a challenge. It's been a challenge. Again, part of it, the challenge is the politics.
Right.
So, I try to do the right thing, and it's sometimes tough, especially during the pandemic,
Right. Right.
because we're a private school at Chapman University, and we probably are maybe the only university that did this, where when the pandemic struck in March 2020,
Right.
Chapman reimbursed the students unused lab fees, parking, meals,
Oh, wow.
housing.
Oh wow.
So that they lost millions of dollars by reimbursing the
This
students
is
their unused tuition. As soon as we went to remote learning, they reimbursed, I said tuition, but unused, meals, meal plans, housing,
wow.
parking, lab fees.
Right.
So they lost millions of dollars. So I think that's part of the reason why the administration's favorite answer right now is no,
Right.
because they're trying to, save the money that they lost.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, they still lost quite a bit of money last year, even though we were in remote learning. A lot of the students weren't in campus housing, and
Right.
that brings in a lot of money for the university.
Okay. Tell me about your previous jobs before starting your current one.
My previous job was a postdoc, so I was doing research, and that
Okay.
was at UC San Diego.
Okay.
So that was my previous job, and then 2 jobs opened up simultaneously. One was at UCLA Medical School, and the other was at Chapman.
Okay.
And so I applied to both. UCLA was what's called soft money, meaning that as long as I get research grants, I'll have a salary. Chapman was what's called hard money,
Right.
meaning I get a salary whether I get NIH grants or not. UCLA was more money,
Right.
Chapman was less money, but Chapman was a sure thing in terms of hard money,
Right.
so I went with Chapman.
It's a better decision.
Well, yeah, and especially now because trying to get NIH funding is so challenging nowadays.
Right.
So, and while I was at Chapman, I did get a couple of NIH grants, but it was tough to try to balance, the research and my teaching load. So.
Okay. Well, Last question I have for you. In your work, which has been more valuable, your education or your experience?
Probably my experience. As you may or may not know, as a PhD, I'm trained on how to do research.
Mm-hmm.
And at Chapman, I'm teaching,
Right.
as well as doing research. But the research is not a problem. That's what I was trained to do. It's the teaching part that was
Right.
sort of new. Even though I was a teaching assistant at USC, I was a TA for somebody else. It wasn't my own class.
Right.
So in this context, when I first came to Chapman, I had to figure out, how do I want to teach?
Right.
And this is my class now, and I get to dictate how I'm going to teach and convey the information to students.
Gotcha.
So what I had to do was look back on my experience and decide, what were the 3 things that I really enjoyed about professors when I took classes.
Right.
And so the 3 things that I enjoyed, that I emulate in my teaching, is I like organization. So the first thing I do when I lecture is students have an outline of my lectures.
Gotcha.
So they know exactly where I'm starting, where I'm going to finish. Because I always was confusing to me when a professor started one place and then they bounced somebody else somewhere else, and then somebody asked a question, then now they're over here, and now when I looked at my notes, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to study because it's all over the place.
Right.
So I like organization. That's the first characteristic.
Okay.
The second one is I like to be challenged.
Okay.
So on my exams, I always have what are called challenge questions,
Right.
where if you understand the material, you should be able to answer the question. So I'll give them a scenario.
Okay.
This person was given a beta blocker, and they have high blood pressure. How does this beta blocker supposed to help them manage their blood pressure? So they have to kind of know what a beta blocker is, and how that's going to help that person with hypertension. And then the third characteristic is I like to implement humor. So I think learning should be fun. So that came from experience, and that's how I try to teach my classes. And so I think experience was probably more valuable to me than anything else.
Oh wow. Well,
Okay.
that was all the questions for me, and then I just want to thank Dr. Sumida again. He works at the University of Chapman, and I'd like to thank you again
You're
for
welcome.
coming here, and I'd like to
You're welcome.
do a handshake.
All right.
Thank you.
Good luck.
That was fast.